Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jess and I like to talk about horror movies, and that's kind of what we're gonna do here today, but I wanted to approach it a little bit differently. Oh, visitor, hi. Are you going to say hi? You're gonna smell Philip? Yeah, my grandma got me this cutting. This is Ghost, by the way. My grandma gave me this pothos cutting when I was home last, and she was like, yeah, here you go. His name's Philip. What the fuck? So we started calling him Lil Phil, and Lil Phil's over here thriving. Ghost obviously loves him, but yeah, he's gonna live right there for the duration of this video and then go back into the sunlight. Like I was trying to say before I was interrupted, I really wanted to take a different approach with this video and be a little bit more personal, because I know I come on here and talk about movies all the time, which of course is what I'm passionate about, but I really feel like it's important as a content creator, someone who is striving to be a content creator, to be more personal and talk about life experiences and why exactly my passion is horror and horror movies and watching things that scare the absolute shit out of me and recommending those movies to you guys. I really wanted to take the opportunity to sit down with you guys and have you get to know me and talk about my experience as a young woman growing up a horror fan or a lover of horrifying things in a southern state, in a southern family, and around people who really didn't understand what I meant when I said I like horror movies and not I worship Satan. You know what I mean? I don't worship Satan. Please don't take that out of context. And I just want to put out there that this is my experience, me personally, and not anybody else's experience, so please don't take it that way. So I guess starting from the beginning, I was not born in North Carolina. I was born in Georgia, but I've lived the majority of my life and still live in the state of North Carolina. And all of my extended family, is from the South. Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi is a big one. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate when I say that things like mental health or gender identity or sexual orientation, that was not part of the conversation at the time, or just around the type of people that I grew up around. But let me just say, even though the community that I was in and the extended family that I had, they were a certain type of way. I'll just explain it like that. But my parents were very encouraging and open-minded, and I was in choir. I went to a performing arts middle school. I loved doing plays and doing theater. I grew up very musical, very artistic, and I'm very appreciative for that experience. But in a southern town where it is very common for people to grow up a certain way and conform to certain ideals and basically have your life mapped out for you, as someone who has always been not involved, I guess now involved, but inspired and interested in darker things, that was not well received by the people that I was currently surrounding myself with. And as the person who was able to explore herself a little bit more openly with her immediate family, that exploration was not as well received by kids at my school, kids in my community, my extended family. I had a hard time being the person that I really wanted to be outside of my household. Being a young woman in a smaller southern town where all of the girls were a certain way, and if you weren't a certain way, you'd be bullied, you'd be ridiculed, you'd be an outcast, and that was never a good feeling, okay? Anyone can tell you it's not a good feeling no matter how strong you want to say that you are, okay? It doesn't feel good. And in middle school and the beginning of high school, I felt like I was halfway in with the crowd that everyone wanted to be in with, right? I would do Girl Scouts, but then I got kicked out of Girl Scouts. I would join sports teams, but then I would get kicked off of the sports teams. And obviously there was just something that wasn't clicking here. But even though I had friendships, it wasn't what I thought my experience growing up was going to be. And it got a lot worse whenever I decided that I liked horror. I've always loved spooky shit and weird shit and shit that can't be explained. And so whenever I was young and at my grandparents' house in Florida and it was 2 a.m., I couldn't sleep, I had the TV on and Blair Witch Project came on the TV, I finally found that rush that I had been chasing. It felt like I was never fully excited by things like Girl Scouts or sports or cheerleading or whatever all of my other friends were doing, and that's great and fine because everyone has their own interests, and if you like those things, that's perfect, that's amazing, I commend you for that. But for some people, that's just not exciting to them, and I was one of those people, and it was weird for others to sit back and look and say, why didn't you like X, Y, and Z? I don't know. Why don't you like X, Y, and Z? I can't give you a solid answer. It's just the way that I am. And if you don't understand that, then there's the door, buddy. See you later. So that initial watch of Blair Witch Project really got me excited. It got me thinking, wow, if this is how I feel when I watch this movie, what's going to happen when I watch this movie or this movie? And it just built up and built up and built up to the point where now I don't consider it a successful day unless there's somebody screaming on my TV. And that's just life. And maybe that's weird for some of you, but for me, it's completely normal. But whenever you're 12 and you go to Blockbuster and your 2 rentals are the Swedish version of Let the Right One In and The Orphan, and that's what you play at your birthday party the next night, okay? And 50% of the girls have to leave, and then your parents get yelled at for showing them that movie, but really it was their daughter. You know, I made a reputation for myself, and I lost a lot of friends. It's not a great feeling whenever you hear someone that you thought was your friend saying she's weird, she likes watching this crazy shit on her TV. What's wrong with her? That is like the biggest question that kind of ticks me off whenever I tell people, or whenever people find out that I love horror and that's kind of like what I've built my identity around. It isn't like, oh, what about it entices you? What about it makes you feel like you're alive? It's what's wrong with you? Do you know how incredibly frustrating and demeaning it is to hear someone you had respect for ask you that question just because you like a certain genre? No. It really fucking sucked. It really fucking sucked for somebody who was still developing their identity at the time, and it's enough to send somebody into a depression. And that's what happened. And a lot of anxieties and insecurities and just feeling like something is wrong with you because everyone is asking you what's wrong with you. That is the most hypocritical and just disgusting thing that could come out of somebody's mouth, in my opinion. And it got worse and it got worse, and I lost a lot more friends, and I developed complexes that just weren't healthy and anxieties that I still battle to this day. And I don't know, people suck. People really fucking suck. And even though I had and I still have them, they're still alive. I still have parents to this day who support me in anything and everything that I want to do. If I were to have somebody who stood up for me, or just even like tell me straight to my face, nothing's wrong with you, something's wrong with them, because it's their inadequacy shining through, their jealousy that you have the balls to be the person that you want to be and they don't. If I would have had that person, I really think that I would be a lot more confident in the woman that I am today. So if you're listening to this, by any chance that you're interested in this video, be that person for someone, because I promise you it could change their life drastically. But I will say that as a person who has all of these different things that are really fucking wrong with them, and anxiety being one of the biggest battles that I've had to overcome in my lifetime, horror and what it does for my brain is so very interesting. And there actually is tons of research on this topic on why people like scary movies, and it's really interesting. I've gone on many a deep dive, many a Reddit rabbit hole, if you will, and I would love to make a video about that one day if you guys would be interested in that. But basically, it's normal for someone to have an anxiety disorder to love horror, to turn to horror for that outlet, because, and let me explain this because I think it's so interesting. So the reason why a lot of people who suffer with an anxiety disorder turn to horror is because you can consume horror in a safe way without putting yourself into a dangerous position. Sitting down on your couch in your home, that is your safe space. You just click a button on the TV and you can watch something absolutely terrifying for 90 minutes. Turn it off, move on with your day. It's not putting yourself in a position where you're in a haunted house and you're getting chased by somebody with a chainsaw, okay? For someone with anxiety, debilitating anxiety, I'd be done after that, okay? You'd have to put me down. And people with an anxiety disorder will know what I'm talking about. You are the first person to clock any entryway, exit window as soon as you walk into a door. I never sit with my back to a door. My anxiety doesn't like that. I know every possible outcome whenever I put myself into an unknown situation. And it's not because I'm a paranoid freak. It's because I have to have a way out. Like, I have to know how I'm getting myself out of that situation. And if I don't know that, then that's all that I think about the entire time that I'm there. And because my brain works like that, I am realistic enough to know that even though I'm watching Art the Clown on the screen, Art the Clown isn't sitting right next to me. I can separate myself from the situation at hand, and that soothes my anxiety while also giving me a rush, a dopamine rush, a serotonin rush, any kind of rush that I can get in a safe way. I'm gonna eat that shit up. And I'm very aware of the discussion around representation of people with mental illness in horror movies. That's not this conversation. Please don't take this conversation as that, because I have a totally different stance. And even though I am now an undisclosed age that is way older than 12, I still feel like sometimes I revert back to that 12-year-old, that insecure 12-year-old who has a really hard time telling people what she's passionate about because it could be mistaken in the wrong way. And I'll hear it in like TikToks or just like offhanded comments like, oh, I don't know, like something's got to be going on upstairs with you if you could watch this shit over and over again, or like, what? Something's got to be wrong with you. Shut up. Shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. Let people be passionate about the things that they want to be passionate about, and stop tearing people down, because offhanded comments are the worst. I wish more than anything that I could go back and tell that 12-year-old, don't give up on something that you love just because you have this entire community of people, this entire extended family looking at you funny whenever you say you love horror movies. It's not that deep. Really, it's not that deep. It just like, it sucks because I wish I could tell her now that you have this entire community who you have built and who stand behind you and who are your friends. Oh my God, I have made some of the best friends of my life because of horror movies, and it makes me so incredibly happy that I have a safe outlet to express myself that doesn't include all of the people who tried to tear me down. And there's no greater feeling than that, I swear to God. So if you're somebody who's struggling with that, or struggling with not knowing where you fit in, or struggling with what your likes or dislikes are, I like, as much as I want to say it gets better, because it definitely does, at the time, it gets better is not what we want to hear, right? We want to hear that you're right, you're valid, and you are. Who gives a fuck? I know it's hard, okay? I know it's hard, because especially around a community of people who are Bible thumpers, and oh, you like horror movies? Well, you're gonna go to hell. And it's very weird, and it's very tough to overcome, but I promise if anyone can do it, you can. And now I have the most supportive people in my life. My brother, like, for Christmas, he got me a Michael Myers figurine, and then he got me a Goku figurine, and he's like, look, one represents you and one represents me, because he likes Dragon Ball Z. And it's like little things like that that really make me feel loved and accepted. So be that person for someone if you can, because I promise it's gonna make a world of a difference. Honestly, I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. Actually, I do know what I'm talking about. I'm very knowledgeable, okay? I'm a very intelligent human being. At the end of the day, even though I had people who ended their friendships with me over things, or people who called me fucking weirdo or a sadist, or just asking me what's wrong with me because I liked a certain thing, it's complete and utter bullshit. And now that I'm older, I understand that, but at the time, I didn't. Be kind to people, because you don't know what they're going through, and you don't know what they may need in order to grow as a person. Life's too short, people. Watch the horror movie. Tell someone how the human centipede is connected, all right? Just completely ruin their day and be an asshole about it, because if they want to be an asshole to you, be an asshole right back. So yeah, that's kind of it. I don't really know what else. Like I said, this was unscripted, and I just wanted to do something like totally different. So if you hate this video, I'm sure you'll tell me, but I kind of liked it. It's kind of cathartic, very healing. Let me know your experience. I am really interested to hear other people's stories on growing up a horror lover and growing up in a community where that wasn't really accepted, and losing friendships. And yeah, that's the story of Jess. That's how we got here today, people. Sitting here with my horror memorabilia and Lil Phil in the background. But thanks again for sitting here and letting me talk to you. I really appreciate it, as always. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you want to make my day, click that subscribe button. I don't know what my next video will be. I feel like I do a lot of things and then stop them because they don't get as much recognition as they should, and it's tough, but I guess that's like part of growing. Some people are gonna like certain things, other people aren't, and I gotta cater to both. I gotta cater to how I'm feeling that day. How am I feeling today? I feel weird today. Today's a weird day. See you guys later. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, but until then, stay creepy.